You ever gotten a feel-good feeling after maybe petting somebody's cat or dog? Did you know that sensation of feeling something soft actually releases endorphins in your brain that helps you manage stress? Supposedly, cat owners have less stressful lives and a reduced risk for heart attacks. So let's talk about cats in general, how they can improve your overall health, and how they're being used in the medical community today to help patients with debilitating disorders and help people rehabilitate in correctional custody. So first, let's talk about house cats just a little bit in general. There are about 82 million house cats in the United States households today, and the Egyptians are primarily responsible for domesticating these house cats. According to NationalGeographic.com on 10 May 2012, nearly 4,000 years ago, Egyptians domesticated the house cat for companionship and for rodent control. Egyptians loved their kitties so much that they actually had them mummified and buried with their owner so they could rejoin them in the afterlife. The house cat was then brought over to the Americas on ships because they maintained rodent and pest control aboard the ships, which were spreading diseases. Even though cats aren't really being used in that capacity anymore, they still make great companions. You can find about 40 different purebred cats all over the world. Vader, you just saw there, is an American short-haired cat, and he's a mixed breed cat. Most shelter kitties are about 7 to 10 different mixed breeds. So if you want to consider a cat, it may be more affordable to get a shelter cat versus a purebred. So now we're talking about cats in general. Let's kind of talk about how they can improve your overall health and some studies that were done to prove that. So first, let's talk about the overall health part and some studies that were done. According to NBC.com on 22 February 2008, a study by the University of Minnesota Stroke and Research Center performed a test that people who had never owned a cat in their lives were 40% more at risk of dying of a heart attack and 30% more at risk for dying of another cardiovascular disease. According to the the American Journal of Geriatric Psychology in fall 2011 stated that elderly patients suffering from schizophrenia who had animal-assisted therapy and interacted with cats on a daily basis had improved mobility, social and interpersonal skills, and actually improved on their daily activities, things I take for granted, like brushing your teeth and putting on your own shoes. According to WebMD, on 6 May 2012, children who, since infancy, were introduced to cats and other animals had higher tolerance for allergies and other diseases because their immune system was built up for it. That serotonin that we talked about in the brain that gets released also helps you deal with loneliness, anxiety, and depression as well. So there's obviously a lot of overall benefits that come along with owning a cat. So now that we've talked about some overall general benefits for you personally, let's talk about how they're being used in the medical community to deal with children who have autism, ADHD, or are in correctional custody. So according to WebMD, May of 2006, children suffering from ADHD have a lot of personal skill sets that are being hindered because they don't have the interaction with children on a normal daily basis because of their disabilities. So animals are being introduced into animal-assisted therapy for these children to help them develop social skills and self-esteem. Specifically, children with autism have a lot of sensory disabilities. Touching something normal to you and I, like a t-shirt, is very abrasive and offensive, and it's hard for them to deal with. Horses, dogs, and cats, because their bodies are warm and soft, that sensation of something warm and soft is less offensive to them. They also are being introduced to help them play and develop some communication skills. Animals can devote 100% of their time and attention to a child, where most adults would tire easily, which also helps the child build communication skills and some interpersonal skills that they wouldn't normally develop in a school setting. And again, animals love unconditionally, and that unconditional love will improve children who are suffering from disabilities, their self-esteem. Another interesting fact is in correctional custody, animals are actually also being introduced for animal-assisted therapy to help inmates get back on track. YahooNews.com on 6 May 2012 wrote an article. Eric Pfeiffer, the author, stated that this program called Cuddly Cats is actually allowing inmates to get back on track before they are released into the general public. So Eric Pfeiffer quotes that the goal of the program is to give prisoners a sense of responsibility that will hopefully help them transition them during their integration back into society. This changes the prisoners from looking out for number one to having someone else to care for. So these kitties have, who have been placed on the euthanized list for being unadoptable, actually being adopted into these correctional facility programs to help inmates get back on track. So the inmates are encouraged to be put on their best behavior as the program is built on kind of a one-strike deal. So it's been proven to be a success, and Washington State has stated that they want to incorporate more animals into their program. So now that we have kind of talked about a lot of information about basically cats in general, but how they can improve your overall health and how they're being used to care for the sick. They can actually lower your stress levels, improve your heart health, and they're actually being used for patients suffering from schizophrenia and autism. So if you want to consider getting a cat, always go see a sheltered cat, because you never know, might not only be saving your life, but you may be saving theirs as well.